Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you how I made this book box. I've used Berry Burst, which is one of our new in colours. There's 5 of them, and the designer series paper I've used here is from Fresh Florals designer series paper, which comes in 4 different designs in all 5 of the new in colours. Inside the box, which is just closed by the ribbon here, it's a really lovely size. If you wanted to, you could use it for making a gift up of greeting cards, Christmas cards, thank you cards, whatever, because it's big enough to hold envelopes as well. As you can see, I just grabbed the nearest cards to me to get an idea how many the box would hold. There's quite a lot of dimensions on these, and 3 are in there quite easily. I think you'd get 5 or 6 in there very nicely, and that would make a really nice gift for somebody. If you don't want to give cards, obviously it's still a really decent size to get other gifts in there. I'm going to change my colour scheme. I'm going to use Pool Party. I'm also going to change my designer series paper. I'm using Delightful Daisy. So I'm going to start off by telling you the card pieces that you're going to need. For the book or box cover, you need a piece that's 11 inches by 7 inches, which is 27.9 by 17.7 centimetres. You'll need a piece of Pool Party for the box, which is 10.5 inches by 8 5/8 inches, which is 26.7 by 21.2 centimetres. And for the back and the front, a piece of Whisper White, which measures 4 7/8 inches by 6 7/8 inches, which is 12.3 by 7.4 centimetres. You need 2 of those. And then for the 4 spines on the book, all of these are 7/8 of an inch wide. You need 1 piece that's 6 7/8 inches long. I will give you the metrics in just a moment. And you need 2 pieces that are 4.5 inches long, and you need 1 piece that's 6.5 inches long. In metric, that is, the width of all of them is 2.2 centimetres, and you will need 1 that is 17.4 centimetres. You need 2 that are 11.4 centimetres, and then you need 1 that's 16.5 centimetres. And then for the front and the back, the designer series paper, I'm using the flowery side. Both of these measure 4 3/4 inches by 6 3/4 inches, which is 12 by 17.1 centimetres. And then you'll need 4 pieces for the spines. And first of all, in inches, they are all 3/4 of an inch wide. You need 1 that is 6 3/4 inches long, 1 that is 6 3/8 inches long, and 2 that are 4 3/8 inches long. And in metric, that is 1.9 centimetres wide for all of them. Then you need 1 that is 17.1 centimetres long, 1 that is 16.1 centimetres long, and 2 that are 17, no, reverse, let's go back, 1 that is 17.1, 1 that is 16.1, and 2 that are 11.1. I will put all the measurements in the box below the video. Then you will need for the sentiment a piece of Whisper White, which measures 4.5 inches by 3 inches, which is 11.4 by 7.6 centimetres. And then for the layer underneath, you need a piece of Pool Party which measures 12.7 by 7.6 centimetres. And the flowers, what I did for those, I just cut them out of a spare Designer Series paper, and I used a Daffodil Delight marker pen just to colour the inside and to colour that little bit there, just to give it a little bit of definition away from the outside bit. I doubt if I will do that for this box. I'll only know once I get there. So let's give it a try. First of all, we'll do the scoring. So I will bring up my scoreboard. And my scoring tool. We'll do the book cover first, so that's the one that's long and narrow, and you need to score this one at 1 inch. No, you don't. You need to score it at 5 inches and at 6 inches. In metric, that's 12.7 centimetres and 15.2 centimetres. So inches, that's 5 inches and 6 inches. And then for the box, you need to score this 1 inch and 2 inch on all 4 sides, which is 2.5 centimetres by 5 centimetres. So that's 1 inch, 2 inches, turn 90 degrees, 1 inch, 2 inches, turn 90 degrees, 1 inch, 2 inches, turn 90 degrees, 1 inch, 2 inches. So that's all the scoring we need to do. We'll do the book cover first because that's the easy part. You need to round the 4 corners. I'm using the retired Project Life corner rounder. If you've got one, well done. I hope you managed to get one before they retired, because it's a great little product to have. If you don't have one but you do have the envelope punch board, there is a corner rounder on the back of that. If not, hopefully you do have a corner rounder of some sort. You don't need to round the corners if you don't have a corner rounder. It's just that it does make it look more like a book if you do. And then with your bone folder, fold on the 2 score lines and give it a good burnish. Make sure that these both line up beautifully. Right, and then for this one, as you know, I like to do my cutting before I do my folding. Doesn't matter which way you do it, but we're going to be cutting up on score lines that are on the landscape side, the long side, not the short side, the long one. And what we're going to do is we are going to cut on the second score line in, or the second score line away from the edge, and we're going to cut up to the second score line that's going across. Okay, so I'm just cutting a very nice straight line right on the edge of the score line, and that's why I like to cut this before I fold, because it's just so easy to see where you're cutting. So I'm cutting up on all 4. I like to make my boxes wherever possible with the extra fold because I just feel that it makes it a much sturdier box. Now what we're going to do is these last two squares on the end here, on all four corners, we're going to cut them off. So what I'm doing, as I'm cutting, I'm going to cut it at a very slight mitre to go up that way. Okay, so that's slightly mitered. This one's going to be absolutely straight. And now I'm going to do a slight mitre on this cut line here. Doesn't have to be much, just a little bit to make it fold in nicely. Now turn it so I've got this one towards me. Now I'm going to cut up here at a slight angle and then come round to this side and cut a very straight line, and then I'm going to cut a slight mitre on this line here. Didn't go far enough on that one, never mind. So at a slight mitre from this side, nice straight line here. And then a mitre on this side here. Nice straight line here. Let's stick to the way I did it before. A slight mitre up to the second score line, and then go back to do the straight line on this one. Then our last cut will be the mitre on that side. There we go. Right, disadvantage of doing it this way is it does take a little bit more to do the folds, because obviously you've got to do the tabs separately. If you ever find you get that, I've got a little bit of cardstock that's rucked up there. Just flatten it down by running over it with your bone folder. Oh, it's still there. Looks as if there's maybe some glue on it or something. Well, that's going to be tucked inside anyway, so don't worry too much about that. But again, use your bone folder so you get some really nice creases. And as always, do make sure that these do fold over straight. The last thing you want is a crooked corner. Right, now we're going to assemble our box. Right, you can either do 2 at a time or 4 at a time, entirely up to you. I think I will probably do 4 in one go. I obviously use Tombow. It's the only glue that I really like, but Fast Fuse would certainly work on getting these adhered down nicely. I wouldn't use snail. Obviously you don't want to put too much Tombow on, because if it escapes you've got glue loose inside your box. But on the other hand, you need enough to make sure it does stick down firmly. Right, so what happens is, once we've got the glue on these, we're going to do just the flaps to start off with. Let me just fold these back so that I can show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to bring this down, bring the side up, and make sure that I get a really nice straight corner there. When I'm happy that that's straight, then I can hold this down just for 2 or 3 seconds so that Tombow can get a grip of it. Then once I've done that one, I move along to this one, make sure I get a nice straight corner here. And once I'm happy with that, then I can hold this down for a few seconds and then come round to the other side, get a nice straight corner here. I think that one moved a bit as I put it down. That's alright. And then a nice straight corner on this side as well. Right, now what we need to do is to put glue on the inside of these flaps and then tuck them in. I always do the ones that are going over to cover the flaps up first. So I'll do these two first. I'll try and do this so that you can actually see what I'm doing. Again, enough to hold the flap down there, but not so much that you finish up with glue all over the place. So I do that one and then come over to do this one. It's like most of these projects, basically they are easy. You just need to know the process of doing it. Right, now fold that over and get a nice good squeeze all the way along. Turn it around and do this side. Now before I go on to the next side, what I do is I use my bone folder, I lay this down on the desk, and then I give this a very good burnish to make sure that sticks down. But what I don't do is I really make sure that that point does not go running along the base there, because if it does, if it's a normal bone folder, it will leave marks down there which will spoil the look of your box. I understand that if you have a non-stick bone folder, that doesn't happen. Okay, so I do that, I'm doing it right towards the end there without allowing my bone folder to go down there, and I'm also doing this fold here, just making sure that crease is still very good. Now I'm going to come over and do the other side, make sure that that is all nicely pushed down, without going onto the base of my box, and then I'm going to do the edge as well. Make sure I've still got a good crease there. There we go. Now I'm going to do the other two pieces. This is such a beautiful, peaceful colour, this one. I really find it relaxing. Apparently green is the most relaxing colour that there is. I suppose this is sort of greenish. Right, so squeeze this over. Turn it around and squeeze the other side over. Fold the other side over and squeeze it rather. And then again with your bone folder, give it a good press down to make sure that it's adhering nicely, and then a nice crease along the top of your box. There we go, so that's our box. So the next thing is to fit it in here. What you need to bear in mind is this will only just about fit in here. To get it to fit perfectly, what we're going to do is we're going to put glue on the base, and at the same time we're going to have glue on the side here. When we place it on here, we're going to make sure that we've got 1/4 inch spare at the top, 1/4 inch spare at the bottom, and this edge here on the box is going to come this side of that fold line. Don't put it on the fold line or over the fold line. It's got to go right up to that fold line, and then you'll find it'll fit in beautifully. Now what I do is, to give myself a sporting chance to get this about even, what I do is I just mark on here. This one doesn't really need a mark because I know the first square, yes, you can see that, the first square is 1/4 inch, and I'm going to mark that as well. It just makes it nice and obvious for me when I bring my box down, because I really don't want to put my head in front of the camera. Right, so let's see if we can get this in place. Again, you could use fast fuse, but Tombow's best. Okay, so that's all for the base, and then on one of the long sides. Okay. Right, let's pop the top on there. Make sure we put this on the right way round. So that's where I want this to go. Right, so that's lining up this side of the fold line. And that looks as if it's about 1/4 inch. I'm not going to worry about perfection there. And then if you look at that, you find that that does fit beautifully. Okay, If you just leave it to sit there, that bit will just pop up slightly, like that. But that's why we have something on it to close it. Right, now to do the back, just stand it up like that, and again give it a pressing with your bone folder. Again, without letting the point of it go so that it's scratching along the bottom. There we go, that should be stuck really nicely. Okay, so there is your book box. Clever, isn't it? Very clever. Right, what we're going to do next is we're going to put some ribbon around here before we start putting all our layers on. Now the ribbon I'm using is our beautiful new shimmer ribbon, and this is in Pool Party. This is just so subtle. I really like this. I don't know if that'll actually show up. Yes, it does. It's a beautiful, it's not glitter, it's just a shimmer, so it's got little sparkly bits in there. Really lovely. This also comes in powder pink and basic black, which that really looks lovely too. Right, so now what I'm going to use, I don't think there's a right side and wrong side here. No, I don't think so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some snail on the back of this, and then I'm going to wrap it around. So the amount that I need to do, what I do is I find halfway. Again, you don't have to be precise with this. Okay, so that's folded in half, and with my halfway mark there, I'm just going to pop it onto that bit there. And then I need to have snail to come up to about 1/2 inch before the end, I suppose, which is there. I've got 26 inches, I believe, so that I've got 9 inches there that I'm not going to put snail on. So, because I'm going to have 9 inches spare that end, I'm going to allow myself 9 inches spare this end. So 9 inches is round about here. So I should really be doing this on my silicone mat, just in case I go off the edge like that. Right, let's move that along. I'm going to do everything apart from the 9 inches, so that's 16, so up to 7 there, so I've only got a couple more inches to go now. That should do nicely. Okay. That doesn't look as if it's worked out right. Have I done my sums wrong? No, that's about right. So what I'm going to do is, where my halfway mark was, which is approximately here, I'm going to pop that on there, about halfway. And again, it really doesn't matter about being precise. The only thing that does matter is once you've got this down here, and you're happy that it's straight, you bring this one round, and it must line up with this one on this side, otherwise you're never going to be able to tie them in a bow. Okay, so those two have met up with each other. Okay, even though I've made a bit of a hash of that down there, let's try that again. Right, keep my finger where I need it to go. Yep, that looks good. So I can have this either way. I can have bits, so the ribbon, because mine's not halfway, I've got mine more towards the top here. Got a bigger bit at the bottom, so I have a choice. I can either have my box this way, so I've got the smaller bit at the top, or I can turn it around and have the smaller bit at the bottom. I'm really not fussed about whichever way that goes. So it does matter, of course it does. If I want it to open with the box facing upward. Oh dear, I shouldn't make videos of an evening. Okay, so we're now going to decorate our box. So we have a lot of pieces that we need to adhere to our Whisper White pieces, and they're all the pieces that I'm going to be doing first. I can't quite decide whether this Delightful Daisy has a right way or wrong way, so I'm not worrying which way my pattern is going. And I don't know if you can see from your angle whether the camera is actually picking this up, but on this blue side there's light areas and dark areas. This is meant to be like that. Yes, you can see it. It's meant to be like this. It's a water wash effect that is part of the design, so please don't think that there's something wrong with your cardstock. And I've done something wrong here. What I should have done first, which is going to be a bit of a nuisance, I need to corner around these bits here. Oh well. As I say, I shouldn't do videos of an evening. Right, let's try. Oh well, at least it might be evening, but at least I can still think about how I get myself out of these fixes. Right, let's do this one as well. Really, it's such a shame that we don't sell this corner rounder anymore. It's such a brilliant tool. Right, get rid of all of that. Now, I'm going to need to put a little bit more glue on there because I don't know how sticky that will be. I think it will stick, but I'll err on the side of caution. There we go. Right, let's do this one. Let's turn that round. The weather has been absolutely beautiful today, and I have the window open in here. As I say, it's evening, it's about 8 o'clock I think, 8:30, and the birds are outside singing. I don't know if you can hear it. Right, now these two I'm going to pop onto my card, my box rather. I have to say we do have some really super designer series paper in the new catalogue. Right, now this goes straight over the ribbon. There we go, that's that. You don't need to do the back if you don't want to, but I just think it helps to make it look finished, really finished off. Plus the fact it also goes towards making it feel such a sturdy box. It feels sturdy anyway because it's got the double lining on the sides of the box. And then to have these two as well. It just oozes strength. There we go. Now on this side we can actually press it down, and if we hold that one like that we can press that down as well. Okay, now we need to do these four. So let's just marry these up correctly. So it's those two, that, that and that. And the longer one out of these two is for the outside of the spine on the actual box, and the other long one is for the inside on there. That one. And then the last one. Right, now we need to adhere them to our box. So first of all, make sure we got the right one here. This is the long one. Yes, that's right. I wasn't sure whether to get this part of the decorating done before adhering the cover to the box, but as the first one worked like this, I thought I would stick with it. There we go. Although there's a bit of a bump there going over the ribbon, you really can't see it. You know, you can't see any bulge there. Right, so now we need to do these pieces. Let's do the next big one. Just make sure your ribbons are out of the way. I could do with it being a very tad shorter. I wonder if I can cut a little bit off. Yeah, that's better, that's fine. And then the two smaller pieces. And then the last one. And there we go. So there we go, there's our box. Is it beautiful? Really lovely, very pleased with that. So all I need to do now is the decoration on the front, and for that I'm going to use the Big on Birthday stamp set, and I'm using this, which is the same one that I used on the front of the book birthday card that I did the other day. I think that's what I called it. And the framelits that I'm going to be using are lots of labels, and I'm going to be using the two largest ones. So that's numbers 6 and 7. I always start counting, the smaller the die, smaller the number. So start counting from the inside, working my way out, 6, 7. So my last two pieces of cardstock is this. And I'm going to use archival basic black ink. Make sure I give this a really good inking. Stamp this as close to the centre as possible. Doesn't matter that it's upside down. Just as long as it all stamps beautifully. So let's have a look. There we go, beautiful. Oh, the T's a little bit short, never mind. I'm not going to worry about something so minor. So I'm going to bring my Big Shot up now to cut these out. Let's clear the deck a bit. And I have my magnetic platform with this. So the large one is going to be my Pool Party. seems to be wanting to go walkabouts. Maybe I should bring it down quite a chunk. Certainly don't want that to give me grief. So there's that one, and now I'm going to do this, and I'm just making this as centered as I can. This W and the G will touch either side. And when you're lining this up, just make sure you can't see the paper, the edge of the paper through there, because that is, the cutting edge is actually on that bit there. If you can see it like that, then just bring it down back into line. Of course, I don't stand a chance in trying to check out whether this is straight or not. I think I'll go with that. There we go. So there we have it, that's the sentiment. So as you can see, just missed a little, cut a little chunk off there, but that one was perfect. And then the pool party, obviously, be very difficult to get that bit wrong. Although I have achieved that sometimes, don't ask me how. Right, so I'm going to pop this on. What I did with this one, because I felt this was a little bit overpowering, I needed something to calm it down, which is why I did these flowers. I'm not sure that I'm going to need it on here. I have prepared some in case I do, because it can be quite time consuming fussy cutting the flowers off of designer series paper. Just line that up. As straight as possible. I think that's fine. And then I'm going to adhere it on here. Did use glue. Right, let's pop this up. That looks centre. Make sure I put it on the right side. Now, these are the flowers that I've cut out in advance. And they have come from... oh, I thought I'd left the sheet out to show you. Yes, I did. It's over there. I cut them out from this sheet here. It was these little ones that I did. And this is from Whole Lot of Lovely. As I say, Stampin' Up really have come out with some beautiful designer series paper in the new catalogue. So now, do I want to put something on here? Yes, I do, don't I? Look at that. That's going to finish it off just beautifully. Right, so what I do, once I've done any kind of fussy cutting like this, first of all I like to just bend it very slightly over a pencil, just to start it off going the direction I want it to go in. This also shows that you don't have to just stick to one set of designer series paper. You can mix and match them. Right, so next what I do is, now you may prefer to do this on your paper piercing mat, but I'm quite happy using my hand, and I just use a round end of my paper piercer and just give that a press in the centre, so it gives me a nice lot of dimension there. I got some glue on the end of my finger. Oops, come on, that's it. I won't want to do too many of these in the palm of my hand. Right, so now on the back of these I'm going to use our beautiful new mini dimensionals. They are absolutely superb for this exercise. Look how small that is. Isn't it super? Absolutely ideal for these. And I just give them I flatten them down to get the dimensional on there, because now that it's been folded to shape, it's easy to get it back into the puffed up shape again. Oh, I did 3 top, 3 bottom on that one. I've only done 5, so we'll have 3 top, 2 bottom this time. So I just fluff my flowers back up again and then put them against each other. They will go a bit flatter, but that's okay. They can't go totally flat because they're right up against each other now. And then I'll do 2 down at the bottom here. And there we go. That's today's project. Let me see if I can get this bow done up in one. And what I do when first of all, just check that that's all okay. Yep, that's lovely. So happy with that. What I do when I'm tying ribbons like this, I tie the knot so it's as close to the top up here as possible. That way I'm in with the chance of having the bow sitting on top of the box. It looks as if 26 inches is miles too long. I'm sure that's what I did last time. Maybe I got more than 26 inches this time. Right, I'm not going to fuss too much with that, she says. I will just cut some of it off, not all of it. It needs to be decent length so that it can be tied and untied. But there we go, there's today's project. I hope you like it, and I hope you decide to give it a try. If you have any questions or any comments you'd like to make, please leave them in the box below the video, or you can email me at janb@janbcards.com. I'm always very happy to help you. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I featured here today, there will be a link to my 24/7 online shop in the box below as well. I would appreciate your business. If you have enjoyed this video and would like to be notified each time I upload a new one, which is normally Wednesdays and Sundays, please click on the subscribe button. And finally, I will put all the measurements and the products that I've used with product codes and everything in the box below, so it's all nice and handy for you. I will also put them on my blog, but you don't need to go there if you're quite happy to pick them up from the box below. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.